The compounding domestic resource pressures and the threat of severe economic disruption have forced historically bitter adversaries to try and pause the fighting. Mutual desperation has yielded a rare diplomatic maneuver: indirect negotiations between the United States and Iran. Pakistan stepped in to host the talks in Islamabad, utilizing a shuttle diplomacy framework where the American and Iranian delegations remain in separate rooms. The American effort to stabilize the region is reportedly led by Vice President J.D. Vance, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, and Senior Advisor Jared Kushner. Pakistan's specific role is to act as the neutral middleman, physically relaying proposals and counterproposals between the two camps. That neutrality fractured before the talks even began. Pakistan's Defense Minister, Khwaja Asif, published and later deleted a post calling Israel evil and a curse for humanity. Israeli officials, including Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar, issued sharp condemnations, explicitly rejecting Pakistan's ability to act as an unbiased arbiter. The structural foundation of the mediation was deeply compromised before a single core issue reached the table. In Tehran, officials firmly denied that a negotiating team had even traveled to Islamabad. They stated that senior figures like Foreign Minister Abbas Arachiki would not participate until Israeli strikes in Lebanon ceased. This network map shows Tehran's strategy of linkage, treating military engagements in Lebanon, Gaza, and Iran as one unified conflict. Conversely, Israel and the U.S. compartmentalize, maintaining that operations against Hezbollah are entirely separate from agreements with Iran. While the diplomats argue strategy, the reality on the ground in Lebanon remains defined by continuous cross-border strikes and compounding destruction. These rigid, opposing philosophies have turned the conflict in Lebanon into the definitive roadblock capable of collapsing the entire peace process. Because neither side is willing to yield on their interpretation of the Lebanon conflict, the overarching negotiations are effectively frozen. This deadlock traps major strategic disputes in limbo, leaving issues like Iran's nuclear program and the prospect of economic sanctions relief completely unaddressed. It also keeps global energy markets exposed, with the vital shipping lanes of the Strait of Hormuz operating under a constant threat of military disruption. A severe localized dispute has entirely paralyzed a macro-level diplomatic resolution. While the political process stalls, the environmental clock keeps ticking. Ongoing war conditions make it impossible to repair the fragile infrastructure holding the region's water supply together. Securing clean water is the central requirement for stability and survival in the Middle East. Until the diplomatic knot in Lebanon is untangled, millions of people remain trapped in an accelerating cycle of conflict, burning through their remaining resources as the land dries up beneath them.